Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host, RJ, but I'm joined by my fellow co-host, the champion and schooner, I was going to say, Scott the Gooner or Schooner.
Oh my God, Schooner.
You are a bit of a schooner. We should run with that. That's what we do here in the IFT. Rob, how you going, my man?
Good, mate. Had a good feed. I'm happy and I'm ready to talk, mate.
Ready to talk? Ready to hopefully not talk a bit of Champions League? I'm sure you are, but Scott, how about yourself?
Yeah, mate, doing brilliantly. The boys got together for a feed before this show, so I'm very full, but I'm looking forward to it, especially ranking the managers tonight. That's gonna bang.
I think we're all looking forward to that. Yeah, should be good.
Absolutely. What else could you ask for? Night out with the boys, a few nice smashing burgers, some loaded fries, some hot chili wings, and get to talk football with you fine lads. Speaking of fine people, I believe we've got a few people already, Scott.
Yeah, good evening, Justin. Mate, I'm hoping the Easter Bunny's good too. But we don't want the Bunnies to get too many wins. We're all Bulldogs fans on this podcast, so let's hope.
Come on, doggies. Let's
take it up. We got my man Butcher from the Football Capital. Make sure you check them out. We got Marty here. Good evening, Marty. We got Daniel. He's feeling pretty happy. We'll be getting into that Chelsea result soon, Dan the man. Davide in the house. Make sure you stick around, mate, because we're going to be talking about your manager and the rankings a little bit later, and Emad is here. Boys, let's get right into it. Obviously, the big ticket item tonight is ranking and categorizing the current Premier League managers. Can't wait for that. But let's start with the UCL first, because we were treated to some absolute crackers over the last couple of days. Let's start with your team, though, RJ. You won the leg, but unfortunately, don't find yourself in the hat for the next round. Just give us your thoughts.
What do you mean Real Madrid won? No, I'm just kidding, of course. But what do I say? Daniel summed it up nicely. It's about being proud. It's about being emotional. It's a strange feeling, I've got to be honest, because we played, honestly, one of the best European nights I've seen in a long time. Obviously, not many teams have gone to the Bernabeu and been able to overturn a 2-goal deficit. A full house. It was... From the get-go, we were totally in control of things. We dominated. We took that 3-goal lead after 75 minutes. I just thought the way that we were playing, it was such a refreshment to see just how confident we were. But then Luka Modric pulls this out of this world insane assist, and Rodrigo to sub, first-time finish. You can't really prevent those ones, and that really swung the momentum. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but at 3-0, Kai Havertz had a header saved by Courtois. If that's 4-0, the game's over. The game is over, but he saved it, to his credit. They scored that crazy goal. We then gone on to miss a couple of gilt-edged chances. But I think ultimately the first leg gave us a bit too much there. I think had we not given away that cheap third goal, I think we would have won this game. Look, we won the game. We won a lot of supporters, but we didn't progress. So it hurts a lot. But I think we showed the football world that we deserve a lot of respect. And Thomas Tuchel proves that, speaking of managers, he's right up there for me. But look, still getting over it, still very emotional. But at the end of the day, if you're going to lose, there's not too many better ways to go out than with your head held high. So I was very proud of the boys.
For me, I did hear a lot of this from Chelsea fans, obviously. Robbie and I dabble in a little bit of talk sport every now and then. I did hear a lot of Chelsea fans calling in after that result saying how proud they were. For me, and look, this might be me stirring the pot a little bit or being a bit cynical, you got to get the result. And at the end of the day, they went out onto that pitch and the ultimate objective was to get into the hat for the next round. And you're not there. And it's not as if you didn't have chances, because in the later periods of that game, you had some gilt-edged opportunities that probably just fell to the wrong people. Like Jorginho had a couple, and he's probably the last bloke
when he came on as well. 2 chances.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get the pride, because it's not easy to go and win away in Madrid. Arsenal were the first team to do that in the Champions League from England. But yeah, I don't know if proud would be the word. They showed some character, though. That's for sure. What do you think, Robbie? Should they be proud of the result, or ultimately did they not do what they needed to do?
Look, definitely, they definitely put themselves out there, and they definitely had a crack, and you got to show respect for that. But as Jason Cundy said, glorious defeat. They were his words, and because they were definitely the better on the night. But at the end of the time, it's a two-legged thing. So you got to be the best out of the two, and like we always say, the best team doesn't always win, or the best team always doesn't qualify. And the damage, like we said the other night, got done at the bridge, especially that easy goal at the end. And it was like I said, I'm glad it kind of evened itself out a little bit of the decisions. They had the goal disallowed, but I actually think that one would nearly it happened to United a couple of weeks ago when there was a goal with a hand reflected up and that was given. But I just thought it evened out because they shouldn't have had the corner, and which they.
But that's not a goal. A corner doesn't lead to a goal. A corner is a low percentage thing, and there was also 2 penalty shouts we had turned down. One of them blatant on Kai Havertz. So. Look, I didn't.
Hold on, are you saying the one where the ball was taken off Havertz's toe? Is that the one where?
No, the one where they're both bearing in on Courtois, and before Courtois touched the ball, Casemiro's gone and taken him out. And I've seen the video 20, 30 times. It's a definite foul every day of the week. But I didn't want to use the refs because we were better than them on the night. The third goal in the first leg is what killed us, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Interesting results. Robbie, do you want to add any more on that before we move on?
No, look, at the end of the day, I agree with what you said, Scotty. Like, they're the reigning champions, and they didn't come up about it wasn't the best Real Madrid side we've ever seen. So, you can't say that they weren't the favourites. That was pretty even tie. They did have a lot of work to do. They came out and they done a job, but unfortunately for Chelsea, it wasn't enough to get them in the hat for the next round.
I like this comment from Davide, but Davide, you know what, mate? This is the talk I'd expect from a Leeds fan battling relegation. Trying your best isn't all that matters.
Don't listen to him, Davide. He doesn't know.
Not always about trying your best, Davide. Mate, I'm trying my best to be the next Victoria's Secret model, but it's not going to happen, mate. Trying your best doesn't always cut it. You need results. Football's a results business. Villareal, Bayern Munich, 1-1. I'm just going to say again, Tom and I picked this. We picked both legs. We should have put some cash on that, Tom. Unai Emery deserves massive kudos for that result. I mean, we've said it the whole way. All of us have agreed that Emery's teams are hard to beat. Mm-hmm. They weren't given a whole bunch of a chance against the juggernauts that were Bayern Munich, but now they've knocked out Bayern. They've knocked out Juve. Yep. In the Europa League at the end of last season, they knocked out both Arsenal and United. Yep. Mate, Unai Emery is doing something. Unai Emery is doing something impressive over there. So I think just put some respect on his name as well, because that's an impressive result.
Yeah.
What do you? Any words on that, boys, or do you want to talk about Man City, Atletico, or should I say the Royal Rumble?
I just want to say, Emery. Look, I was just going to say, Emery, definitely credit deserved there, because that knocking out a powerhouse like those two, especially Bayern, at this point, we all know how powerful they are and how good their record is in this competition. And honestly, I'm keen to just put some money on them for the next round, because you can't just call that Liverpool's going to go in and smack them, because a lot of people, like including myself, said the same with Bayern. And they've got the belief in that real underdog story with them now, to go in and with nothing to fear and just go and have a crack at it. And like I said, from going from Europa League winners last year, these guys could possibly be in a Champions League final in a few weeks' time.
I'm thinking Liverpool won't go into this next tie taking Villareal for granted. They'll go in and they'll be good. They'll be up for this. Let's quickly talk Atletico and Man City. RJ, what did you make of the Royal Rumble, mate?
It was what you wanted to see. You wanted teams that go out there and leave it all on the line, mate. You don't want teams that walk off with 5% left over. We want no percent. And it was scrappy. It was cagey. But it was what you'd expect with teams that have got it all to play for. I just thought some of the talks dominated more about the off-field stuff. But on the field, I thought, City done a good job being able to go in a hostile environment and actually get a very narrow win. Like, that's going to give them the world of confidence, because they didn't play brilliantly, but you can't always play brilliantly. It's about getting the result done, like you keep going on about, Scott. I feel Atletico did a good job trying to use the dark arts to their advantage, target different players. Foden was this time round, but again, City shows some resilience, and I think that's going to leave them in good stead for Real Madrid.
Robbie, Savage
Yeah.
versus Foden in a steel cage match. Who wins it?
Oh, I think Savage will win that one, mate. He is a bit savage, that guy, to be honest.
Now, there were calls at the end, Rob, and I want your thoughts on this. You watch a lot of football. Commentators coming out saying fans don't want to see this. You've got Dan in the comments saying Atletico are dirty. I kind of like seeing that kind of stuff. I like a bit of fight. Everyone knows I love the dark arts. What do you make of it? Is that bringing the game into disrepute, or is that just passion and fight?
Look, I messaged the boys this today, and my opinion was there's a fine line with dark arts and then just getting that kind of grubby, disrespectful. And I'm all for. I mean, I'm all for the people that go for a bit of the dark arts, but it just got pretty crappy in the end. I just think that Atletico got a bit salty, especially in front of their home fans. And I'll tell you why, because City gave them a bit of the dark arts and a bit of time wasting, this and that, and they didn't like it. And when you're the losing team, especially in front of your home crowd, you're going to get worse. And I told you, for me, they did overstep the line a little bit. I'm all for passion, like I said. I love a little bit of a beef here and there, or a bit of a showing passion and stuff. But for me, it happens a lot with especially the Liga teams, mate. They just get really, really dirty. And for me, they did cross the line that little bit extra, especially after the game, going into the tunnel and stuff like that. For me, that just went that little bit over the line.
But just quickly with Foden, talking about a quick fire up front, was Savage dragging Foden, who rolled himself back onto the pitch, to drag him off the pitch of football thing?
I think it's fine, mate. I've no issue with it. Foden was play acting. He wasn't properly hurt.
I can't say he was play acting, mate. He definitely went in for that second kick, mate. It was a beautiful tackle. He went in and he definitely went in to kick him again. So, yes, he was probably milking it, as all footballers like to do. They get a tap and, they all go down now, no matter who they are. But for me, the Atletico guy, especially even at Simeone, mate, I was hoping they showed him a yellow card. I was hoping he was going to get sent off in the end, because it's just, I don't know. I don't like it that much. I
just didn't like how Foden went back onto the field knowing he could interfere with the play. Like, I thought that's a little bit dirty as well. But dark arts, like you said, you do anything to help your team win.
Dark arts is fine for me. Dark arts is fine, but what they've done, I don't know what you call that, but it's just a touch over that line for me.
I'd call it the very dark arts.
Darker arts.
The arts that shall not be named. But, boys, we want to get to these manager things soon. So I'm going to let you guys quickly say something about Liverpool, Benfica. At the end, we all knew Liverpool were going through. Benfica and Felix in particular gave Liverpool a really good run. Now, a little bit of nerves to Liverpool because their defence has been opened up by City and their defence was opened up by Benfica. I wonder if in the title run, this little bit of defensive frailty that's starting to show might cost them. But any quick thoughts on that game, RJ?
Nah, look, that whole defense stuff, I agree that they're not perfect, but this game is in isolation. If you look at their lineup, it was rotated a lot with the FA Cup semi-final in mind, as well as the Premier League run home. The advantage that they had, this is a big win. They conceded 3 goals, but equally, even with their rotated team, they still scored 3 goals. And those 3 goals they conceded, that's just them switching off because they had a big safety net. You remember they were 3-1 up, or whatever it was. And they conceded 2 late goals and they still won by 2-goal aggregate. So it was never in doubt. They rested a bunch of key players. It was nothing but wins for them. Whereas City, at least they actually copped a couple of injuries. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works.
Yeah, some big injuries for the rest of the season. That could hurt them in both competitions as well.
Boys, speaking of different competitions, let's jump straight to the FA Cup because it is a shortened Premier League round. Because there is some FA Cup action by the way of semi-finals. My team's not there. Robbie's team's not there. This is becoming a bit of a theme, Rob. I don't like it. But your team is there. We'll do some predictions for these, but RJ, I'm sure you want to maybe add in a word or two about Chelsea against Palace.
Yeah, look, it's just on the theme before. I still am remaining proud. The context is important. The way we've been playing the last couple games, really seeing that we've got our attack firing again. The defense still a little bit suspect, but I'll give them a bit of a pass because, they're playing against high quality, so I'll let them go. I think this is the last remaining thing to really play for. Of course, in the Premier League, you want to reduce the points gap. That's what it's all about, trying to get close to the top as possible. But this is the last remaining trophy to add to the trophies we've won so far. So I think we're going to have to give it all out here. And I think we're going to remain highly motivated. A lot of people in Chelsea community are saying, oh, we're looking a bit tired now, they're going to be deflated. I don't see that to be the case. The problem is Tuchel's led us to finals already and semi-finals and blah, blah, blah. But we've already lost a handful or so under him at Wembley. So I think we're going to try to make things right. And I expect us to be up for a big performance against Crystal Palace, who won't be allowed to use Conor Gallagher because he's one of ours, and that's going to hurt them a lot. Yeah. Palace deserve respect, but I think that's going to be a big loss for them, and I expect us to come firing and really, really take it to them, to be honest.
Hey, is that a football thing? Chelsea not letting Conor Gallagher play
of course it
in
is.
Probably the biggest match of his career so far?
No, he's our player, and put it this way, if he does play and he has a stinker, then there's going to be talks of, oh, well, he threw the game, he didn't want to win. That's not fair to him more than anything.
Fair shout. What's your prediction for this match, RJ?
Yeah, good one. I think this will be, I'm going to go 3-1 to Chelsea, to be honest.
Okay. What about you, Robbie?
2-0 Chelsea for me. I think this will be comfortable. Like I said, no Conor Gallagher. That's a massive loss for them, how instrumental he's been to that midfield. And like I said, Chelsea always want to get those hands on the silverware. And like I said, this is their best chance now, or their only chance for the rest of the season. So 2-0 Chelsea for me.
I'm with Daniel on this one. I don't think it'll be an easy performance to Chelsea, who, will be buoyed by that win in Madrid. But I watched what Palace did against us. Unfortunately for them, Conor Gallagher was a huge part of the way they pressed us. So I think if he plays, there's a chance that this goes all the way. But without him, I think Palace will fall short. I'm going 2-1 to Chelsea. The other one, and I feel like we're talking about these two teams all the time. City and Liverpool, going to be a huge match. Every time, their last match was a footballing delight, one that everybody would have enjoyed. I wonder what they're going to churn out this time. Robbie, what do you think is going to happen as these juggernauts collide again?
Yeah, City have been wounded, like as we just said, those three massive injuries for them. Kyle Walker, Cancelo, which has been one of the most informed players all season, and who's the other one? And Kevin De Bruyne, another Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah,
so I think with this quick turnaround, and like I said, a big game for them as well. City against Atletico today, that was a massive game. I think Liverpool will win this game. So prediction, I'll go 2-1 Liverpool.
I don't like doing it, but I agree with you completely, Robbie. I think Liverpool are going to come out with a vengeance in this one. So I'm going with Klopp's boys 2-1 as well.
Yeah, I'm also going with Klopp's boys, but I think it's going to be 3-2. I just think it's going to be an exciting game because the focus is on the Premier League. As a result, I think there's going to be a bit more openness defensively, but I only hope the neutral, or from a Chelsea point of view, they all batter and bruise each other. But I just want to answer this question quickly from Emad about Tuchel's trophies question, just quickly. It's a good question. Look, I think because of the whole ownership situation and because of who's available in the market, I think he's got a little bit of capital. So as long as he keeps bridging the gap between us and Liverpool and City, remember, if we win our remaining game, we're 8 points behind. I think he's fairly safe. As long as we're in and around competing for the big trophies, like if we have a massive drop-off at the start of the next campaign, or if we fall short again in the group stage in the Champions League, for example, I think the pressure gauge turns up. But I think he'll be given a lot of trust because, he's delivering top quality at the moment.
All right, boys, let's jump over to Premier League predictions because the big ticket item tonight, of course, is coming up after this. It's the ranking of the Premier League managers at present. Can't wait to tuck into that debate. But before we get to these Premier League predictions, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Make sure you leave a comment on the video. All of that helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps us to grow. So please make sure you take a second to do that. It only takes one click. Premier League is a shortened week. And it's kind of good that this is a shortened week because as soon as we get to the next week of games, listen to some of these fixtures coming up. Liverpool United, Chelsea Arsenal, then you've got Arsenal Man United. It's all going to happen thick and fast. So let's appreciate this slower pace of games before it turns really crazy. We're going to start with Spurs and Brighton. Do Spurs continue their good form, Robbie?
They do. 2-0 for Spurs for me. I'll keep it short and sweet.
RJ?
Yeah, it's not so Brighton times for us London fans, but I think they'll keep the good times rolling at the Spurs. So let's lock in a 2-1 to Tottenham.
I'm going 3-1 to Spurs in this match. They'll have too much of Brighton. Man United hosting Norwich. This is going to be an interesting one. Robbie, let's give you the first word.
Yeah, look, I'm going to stupidly say I think we will win this game this week. Probably just edge it because our performances over the past, I feel like the whole season lately has just been woeful, and I don't remember our last win. I will edge this 1-0 for me.
Okay, 1-0. Marty agrees with you, Rob. I am going to say United should win this one. If you don't, there are problems. I'm going to go 2-0 to United. Ronaldo
There are
double.
problems. Regardless of the result, mate, there are problems.
There are big problems. I'm going to 2-0 Ronaldo double. What about you, RJ?
Look, you've got a team in total disarray, no direction, absolutely nothing good going for them. And then you've got Norwich right at the bottom, right? So, look, it's a tough one to pick. It should be United, but you just can't trust this team at the moment. I should have my thinking cap on with the predictions in mind, but I don't know. I can just see this kind of random draw happening here. I don't know. I can see a 1-1 draw happening. I know I'm crazy, but you just don't know.
Not. Hey, Robbie, quickly. Sammy's put this in. I think he's taken the mic. But if it was 2-0 to Norwich, would you be shocked by this? Just yes or no. Would you be shocked?
2-0, I'd be shocked. If it was like a 1-1 draw or even 1-0, I wouldn't be shocked. But 2-0, geez, we really have to have a nightmare for it to be 2-0.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it at that. Emad 1-0 to United as well. Interesting. Let's move on. There are other fixtures. The Saints are hosting my Gunners. Our form the last two has not been great. Southampton will be looking to bounce back after getting trounced by Chelsea. Call me a hopeless optimist, but I'm hoping that we can inflict a bit of pain. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Arsenal, and I'm saying it, and my head's really thinking where are 2 goals coming from, but I'm going 2-0 to the Arsenal. What about you, RJ?
Well, the way Saints have been defending, how can you pick them at the moment? But you just don't expect them to be that bad again. I do expect them to tighten up a little bit at the back, but we know Hasenhüttl brings the whole Bundesliga mentality, a fast and paced attack. I just think you guys will do enough. I don't see 3 losses in a row to Gunners. We can all hope for it, of course, but it won't happen. I do think you'll get the win, but I also think you'll concede a goal in the process. So I'll lock in a 2-1 to me, to the Arsenal.
Okay, what about you, Robbie?
Is this at St. Mary's, this game?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I thought that as well for Southampton.
It's very hard because I see a draw in this game, but I just see with you guys having Chelsea and United next, that'd be like you guys weren't to get full points from this game, then that's not a great run of form. That'd be
by top 4.
3 on the bounce, this one, then 2 big games, then I don't know. I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw. Just Southampton are the type of team. Every time they get pumped, they normally go on a little bit of a run, and everyone's kind of I'll go 1-1 draw.
Okay. The next one is Watford hosting Brentford. What do you think's happening here, Rob? Let's go back to you. This is your second team, mate. Brentford, you love them.
3-0 Brentford.
Wow, love it. What about you, RJ?
Yeah, I agree with Robbie. I agree with the outcome, but I think it'll be 2-0 to the Bees.
I agree with you, RJ. I agree with you, my shiny-headed friend.
How good is Tony lately as well, boys? You have to give him a bit of credit. He's been clinical, as mate. Great player. From someone that said he couldn't do it, and a championship striker, he's definitely got good numbers in the Premier League this year.
Yeah, a lot of rumors linking him to the Gunners, but I don't know if I'd want him as our starting striker.
Look at this guy. I don't think he'd want to go there, mate. Turn it up.
Newcastle hosting Leicester, I think it is. Yes, Newcastle hosting Leicester. Newcastle had that great run. It's kind of been a little bit of a dip. Leicester have been absolutely all over the shop. I genuinely am finding this one hard to tip, so I'm going to go with my head and say 1-1 draw. Points shared. What about you, RJ?
Yeah, it is a tough one at the moment. Just thinking Leicester's been like this at the moment. Newcastle's been a little bit better. They've overcome their blip, but they're pretty safe now, Newcastle. I don't know if they're going to keep the good times rolling. Is it at St. James, sorry, or
Yes.
at King Power? St.
St.
James.
James.
Okay. I think that's going to affect the outcome. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw here.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. The last one we're going to do before we move on to our manager rankings.
1-1 draw quickly, boy.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, Robbie.
He's already won the prediction.
I'll squeeze it in there, mate.
I just want to get these manager rankings. I'm so excited for them because I have a feeling we're going to fight the whole time. Last one. West Ham hosting Burnley. Robbie, you go first. I don't want to forget you again.
0-0 draw.
RJ?
Nah. I know Burnley's going to be super desperate because they're in big, big trouble at the moment. I just think West Ham's is good enough for a goal. To be frank, I do think Burnley also can pose a threat at a set piece. I think it'll be 2-1 West Ham.
If Burnley lose, United are safe from relegation, so I'll be all for that.
Man United.
Come on, Robbie. You're having a
Good
laugh,
one.
mate. Before I give my prediction, Emad, he's not as clever as he is good looking, but he's got some good advice. Get behind the boys. Smash that like button. Make sure you do that. Also, share the stream with a friend. It's on our social media if you want to give it a retweet or a share. Let's get my prediction. I'm going 2-1 West Ham, and it is time, boys, to rank some managers. So let me explain
Drum roll.
to the chat how this is going to work. We've actually got some tiers that we've pre-prepared. Once we've used these tiers and we've sorted the managers, then we'll talk maybe about ranking like first, second, or third best manager. The tiers we've gone with are elite managers, managers who are doing a brilliant job, managers who are bang average, and then managers who are on the chopping block. I am going to put out there that you can still see old mate Bielsa down there. We're just going to pretend that he is the American Jesse Marsh. So when we get up to him, we're going to pretend it's not Marcelo. Let's start, though, with Slippy G. RJ, where would you be placing Slippy G?
Well, if it hadn't been for the last couple of weeks, I'd be putting him in the doing a brilliant job category. I think he started off flying, but not to be too mean to him, but his villains have slipped up a little bit. They've lost 4 on the bounce, and I've got to be honest with you, putting my Chelsea bias to the side, I've relegated him to the bang average category. That's how I see it.
Oh, all right. Look, I'm actually on board with bang average because that Villa squad for me is better than what he's doing. They've got some really good attacking players, but have come short. The chat is looking like bang average as well.
Yeah.
This is a good little comment here. Ranking the managers is easy. Number 1, Ten Hag, and then the rest in any order.
Oh, no, settle down.
Mate, you haven't even signed him yet, as if you want to go there.
Look at the confidence of these people. Oh, mate, turn it up.
Robbie, are you happy with Slippy G going in the bang average?
I'm surprised the first one we're all in the agreement, but yes, I will put him in that category.
Whew. This one's going to be interesting. Mikel Arteta. Oh, that word brilliant makes it really, really difficult because I don't think he's doing a brilliant job, but I don't think he's bang average.
Yeah. He's a bit in the middle. Look, for me, Woggy, I'll take this one away from you quickly. Again, we have to put in those 4 categories. I can't put him in the bang average one either, to be honest. I do think if we have to pick one or the other, I do think he's doing a brilliant job over bang average. He has got that squad compared to last year firing. It hasn't been firing on all cylinders and consistently firing, but Arsenal are in a top 4 race, and for me, that's doing a brilliant job with that squad. And we're slowly starting to see let the process work. So I'll put him in the brilliant job, in the brilliant category.
RJ, where are you on this one?
Oh, these comments are
I
so
love
good.
that.
I'm not even
Emad's
listening.
on that.
So
Brilliantly
good.
average. I love that.
I couldn't wait to do this because I just knew it was going to descend into absolute carnage. And that's
Oh, I
happened.
love
You look
it.
at the live chat. But where do you put him? Because, I mean, at the start of the season, no one had high expectations for this Arsenal squad, right? Even after signing those players, no one had high expectations or talked about them for top four. But we are still in that top four race, and we have shown patches of really good form. Where do you think he falls?
I just can't put the brilliant job. I think it's the way we phrased it. They're eighth last season. Yes, they're in the top four race now. Let's be clear, they're not a mid-table team. The squad, they've improved markedly, bought some very good players just because people don't agree with the price. They have strengthened. They've had many opportunities to solidify their top four spot, have been very up and down in recent times, particularly the last two games. Good, not great. To me, he's more on the bang average than the brilliant job, but I don't know. We'll see. This could come
Do we
back to
want to
bite
create
me.
another tier that says brilliantly average?
Well, how about solid? Like solid, I'd put him in
Yeah,
the
I
solid
think solid
category.
is a good one in between that. If we
All right.
want to do that.
Let's do this, boys. Let's
Because
make this.
boys, I know it's one of the same, but I think we have to put a little bit of managers and the team a little bit kind of separate. We can't be going just off the team. We're trying to rate the managers here as well, how good they're doing of
Yeah,
a
it's a
job.
good point. But I suppose the team, for the most part, where it's not classic player error, is a reflection of what the manager's doing. So unless it's like like Mendy the other day when he made that mistake, that's not a Tuchel tactical stuff up. That's a player stuff up. But for Mikel Arteta, some things he does really good, and when you think they're on a roll, then they can't get over the line against teams you expect a lot better from. So solid for me, boys.
Yeah, I'm happy with solid.
Yep,
and I like
solid.
this comment. The team is a reflection of the manager.
Agreed.
But I think when we're ranking them, we've got to look at A, what's their squad like? B, what's a realistic expectation of them? And C, where are they in relation to that? Boys, I'm thinking, because obviously we're not going to spend this long on every manager, are we all in agreement that in that elite category, we're definitely going to put Pep and Klopp?
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement that those two are the standout managers in the league and should definitely be in that elite category without debate?
Yeah.
I'm in agreement, RJ. There's surely no debate about Pep or Klopp.
Well, they're elite, but you just said the criteria. They're working with the best squads. So does that make them elite, or does that make them to be in a very fortuitous position? So I don't know. Like they're great because of what they've won, but I'd be then throwing Thomas Tuchel up there, being very biased, but letting the results also do the talking. So
I think with Tuchel we might have some debate, but I don't think there's any debate with Klopp or Pep. Boys, we're happy to put them both up there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with old mate Pep and his buddy Klopp next to him. Sean Dyche. Now, looking at the squad, a lot of people thought they were in for relegation, and I expected them to be down there. I wouldn't say chopping block for me, because I don't know if you could necessarily do much better with his squad, but I would probably say bang average. RJ, what do you reckon?
Yeah, bang average for me, because they've always been a team that's in and around that relegation zone. They do enough to get by. The team is not great, obviously, so that's a credit to Sean Dyche, but depends what their expectations are. If they don't see any improvement, is that a problem? So I don't know. To me, bang average as well.
Yeah.
Robbie?
I think that's perfect for him, mate. I think he's just bang average, mate. Bang average squad, bang average team, bang average manager.
And they're almost on the cusp. They're on the cusp of relegation right now. So you can't say he's doing a solid job if they get relegated. So
yeah, exactly.
What about Thomas Frank? This is interesting because I know, Robbie, you're a massive advocate for Brentford. Where do you think he falls?
For me, he's going straight into a brilliant job. And honestly, I'll be disappointed if anyone doesn't think that. Because I know when we're going to come up to Mr. Vieira, I reckon you're going to put him in the same category. And because you're ranking him, like I said, you got to look at what you said the criteria is. Look at the squad coming up from the championship. Very, very, very low money spent. Kept all pretty much kept the same squad from the championship. Didn't buy any Premier League proven players. They've beat some big top 6 teams this year, and they've definitely put up a fight and played good football for all their games, even the games they've lost. They've always been in the game. They've never really got belted. So for me, I reckon he's doing a brilliant job.
And funnily enough, they've actually got 2 more wins than Palace this season. So that'll be interesting to think about when we get up there. Look, I'm not going to argue with Robbie on this one. I can see he's too passionate about it. It's not worth the fight. RJ, you happy with Thomas Frank doing a brilliant job?
He is doing a brilliant job. Lock him in there.
Okay. Mr. Potter. Now, Brighton not matched up to that great start. They're sitting in 11th. They've only got 8 wins in the Premier League this season. They've lost 10. They've drawn 13. They're -9 goal differential. Had you asked me early on, this guy would be in that doing a brilliant job category.
Oh, wow.
Early on.
Still is for me, I've got to say.
Not now. Not now. Where do you think?
Well, it depends. What's your stretch, though? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a snapshot. Are we using recency bias over the last 4 to 6 weeks? Are we looking at their whole tenure here? Because what he's done with that team.
I think at this point in the season, 31 games in, what have we seen this year? Because, I mean, if we went off previous seasons, then, you know, I think it's going to be...
You have to go off this season only, boys. You have to go off this season. We're ranking them from this season, so that's it.
I like this. Ask me after Saturday from Marty. We've got a lot of shouts to solid. Solid from Emad, solid from Davides, solid from Daniel.
Solid, yes, I was going to go solid for this one as well.
So what makes him brilliant, though, for Brighton, who's a team that's got nothing going for him players-wise, 11th? What would make him brilliant, though? Because of where they are, or because they dominate the XG stats every week and their players don't convert? What makes the manager less brilliant than Thomas Frank here?
I think Brighton have a better squad.
Yeah, Brighton have a better squad for me.
And they've got more experience.
More Premier League experience squad, but are they a better squad?
They've been here longer. They've had the finances from the Premier League longer. He has achieved better with this squad in the past. I actually think they've got worse.
Yeah, well, this guy was like, you know, he was in for a shout. People were even linking him to United after last season. So, yeah, he's definitely dropped the ball a little bit from last season. Again, we know that they're the team for XG, and yes, they don't get converted. So he does play nice attacking football. For me, he's doing a solid job. He's definitely above playing average, but he's not.
And that's my argument for a brilliant job. As you were saying before, we've got to separate the results from the players. If the statistics support that they should be winning more, that's a reflection of the strategy and the tactics he sets up. He's not the one that's missing the goals. So that's all I'm coming from. But look, I could live with solid, but I could equally argue, like I've done, for brilliant. But let's, for the sake of time, just say solid.
And I just want to say, declared saying, how is Sean Dyche average then? Man, I know you're a clever dude. If you want to stake a case for Sean Dyche in the chat, feel free. We're happy to have a look at it. But let's go with solid for Mr. Potter. I don't know if I can swap them around. Yep. Let's swap them around. The next manager, Roy. I mean, I think it's too hard with when Roy came in, the squad he's got, the position they were in. I actually don't feel like we could even put him in a tier, to be honest. Have we seen enough from Roy Hodgson to be able to place him in a tier, or should we leave him down the bottom?
Chopping block for me, mate. Done nothing.
Really?
He's in big trouble. Yeah. I feel for him, but like a few other managers I'm sure we're going to get onto, not doing so great. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I just don't think he's done much with them.
Robbie?
Yeah, I agree with Bargo, to be honest there. I know he came in for firefighting, but I just think he's over the hill, to be honest. I would have preferred someone like a Big Sam to be over him. So chopping block for me. Yeah, exactly. Retirement. I think they shouldn't have brought him back. I don't think it was a great appointment. So chopping block for me.
It's almost the board members should be on the chopping block for getting him in the first place.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roy. But I guess when you look at the next man we're going to talk about, not Bielsa, but Marsh, I think we've seen him come in a short amount of time and have a notable impact, whereas Hodgson, I guess, hasn't had any impact. But let's talk about Marsh. The American came in. There were lots of Ted Lasso jokes. There was not a lot of respect put on his name, but I actually think he's done a good job with Leeds. He's made them much harder to beat. He's steered them a little bit better in terms of the Premier League table. What do you think about Marsh, RJ?
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. What they've won
Would you
throughout
say
their
he's
last
doing a
five,
brilliant job?
lost one. Yeah, but the sample size is important here. It's still early days. You know what I mean? Like a guy we just spoke about Potter, 31 games into the season, 11th spot. Marsh has come in and done 5 games. Yeah, he's doing a brilliant job. So was Thing at the start of the season too. So that's got to factor into me. That's very short sample size. That's why I can't say doing a brilliant job because of that alone. So solid for me until proven otherwise.
You agree with that, Robbie?
No, for me, he's done a brilliant job. Like I said, even though it's a short tenure, that's all we can judge him on. If it's 5 games, you got to judge him on 5 games. I think he's done.
I can't agree with that, man. Yeah.
Why? He's compared to
because
Bielsa, he's completely.
So if I won my first game, if I won one game,
He's doing a brilliant job. Yes.
Well, then that's hard. Then I can't put it on that scale then because it's not relative. So if I win 25 games but lose 25 games, but I win 5 games, how are we ranking
you have to see
that? That to me is
you have to see what he's done, but from what Bielsa had to what he's taken and how he's reversed that squad, especially defensively. They're doing a brilliant job defensively. They're scoring games, they're in games, they're keeping games, and they're keeping themselves in the Premier League. For me, that's what their goal is, to stay in the Premier League. For me, he's doing a brilliant job. So, especially with the defense, because we all know how leaky they've been, not just this year, but in many seasons. And we all know what Bielsa was, very stubborn. To come in and to completely turn that around, for me, is a brilliant job.
Well, he's turned it around, but he's done it in 5 games. That's what I'm saying. Has he turned it around, or is this just a good purple patch? That's all I'm saying.
Well, is this squad, though, I think it's important to remember, because we did say we consider the squad itself. This squad was pushing for a European place last season, and there hasn't been a lot of change. I know there have been lots of injuries, and Davide, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Jesse Marsh has had most of them back and most of them fit. I think it might be a little bit early to say brilliant job, but I think he's had a really solid start with his team. I wish there was a tier in between the two, but as the deciding vote in this one, I'm going to go with solid. Yeah, but I wish I could put him in between.
Because it's a manager rank, right? And Emad's made a good point because, like you said, is it really the manager, or is it really we're judging the season? Because that's what we're doing here. We're judging the manager's performance on the season, not the manager itself. Because on the season, Marsh is doing a brilliant job, but is he brilliant all round? Who knows? It's short, early days.
That's it. And look, I just want to come back because I did ask Declare to put in the chat his argument about Dyche. So I don't know how Thomas Frank gets brilliant after one good season when Dyche has done it for many. We did say at the start, we're looking purely at this season, 31 games in. Where are we at right now? Now, this could arguably look very different after the last game week, and maybe we'll come back and redo this. But I think the safest place for Marsh is solid at this point. Conte, this is going to be interesting because Spurs were looking pretty dreadful before he came. He's come in and they were still going win, draw, win, draw, win, draw. We saw his big kind of meltdown in front of the cameras. They've crashed out of a couple of cups. I think that's what stops me saying brilliant for Conte, because they were win, draw, win, draw. It's only maybe in the last 3 weeks that they've really turned it up and turned it around. I would say solid, but at the top of the solid for me, based on his performance this season. I have a feeling we might all disagree on this one, though. Robbie, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Look, it's hard because I'm still getting tied up with the whole how the team is performing and how we set up with the manager, because we've said like I said for Potter, you said he can be great because he's got great tactics, but the team isn't delivering his tactics. For me, you have to do. Conte's doing a brilliant job with Spurs for me, but if there was something in between solid and brilliant job, I'd do it because we all know the caliber of what he is. He can nearly be closer to even your Klopp and your Peps, in my opinion, if you're looking at just the pure manager side of things. But you have to put both together, the team and the manager. So I'll do solid for this one. As much as I love Conte, I'll put solid because he is doing a solid job. But if he's to get Spurs into that top 4 spot, that's a brilliant job for me.
That's a brilliant job. Yeah, I agree. RJ, what do you think? And I want to look at some
I
live
think he's
chat
on track.
comments.
I think he's doing a brilliant job at the moment. I've got to say, yeah, they've had a few speed humps, but he took them over at a very bad time. The competition for 4th place, yes, they're still in the race, of course, and they've got a good attacking team. But I think the way he solidified, but that's his, modus operandi. They're a team. They're arguably the form team of the Premier League at the moment. So solid's probably, putting it too low. I can understand where you're coming from. He upper solid, but brilliant enough for me to, especially now that they're not just Conte enders, thanks Davide. They are favourites for 4th spot at the moment. That's to say how
I
good
agree with
he's
that,
done.
Arch. And look, I think Ahmad's point again. Conte is a brilliant / elite manager doing a solid job at Spurs. Because, like I said, you have to put the two together, and I think that's a fair shout. And just quickly for Shane, Bielsa is not. We're not. He's the new manager tonight because we couldn't get a picture of the new guy, Marsh.
Yeah.
Robbie said Jesse March is elite. Gee up.
We've got to place him. So you're leaning more towards brilliant, RJ. I'm leaning more towards solid, although I will admit, if he gets Spurs into 4th from where they were, I would say that's brilliant, borderline elite.
Yep, I agree.
But I would say at this point in time, only because they were still win-loss. They haven't been knocking teams away since
I'm just thinking the longer-term trend, though. They've continuously... They haven't regressed, and now they are in the box seat for 4th spot. Like, that's what I'm looking at the bigger picture here.
You're the deciding vote. RJ's on brilliant. I'm on solid. Where are you?
I'm going to go for the brilliant in the end.
Are you going to put him in front of Thomas Frank or behind?
No, I still think Frank's doing. Honestly, it's no thing. I really think he's doing a really, really brilliant job with that squad. So I'll keep Frank there as well in front of Conte.
Okay, well, let's have a look at some
Conte's got a solid team. You have to remember that he's got some world class players.
Got a brilliant team.
Harry Kane is world class. Son is world class. Kulusevski has been one of the most informed players since he's signed. They've got they've got good players there. So yeah, it's starting to work for them. So I'll keep it like that.
Yeah, and I think that's important to keep in mind too, because some of these managers in solid don't have a world-class player. Like Arsenal don't have a world-class player. Conte has 2. So I think that's important to remember because he does have those tools at his disposal. So look, we'll go with brilliant for now. Maybe my Arsenal bias.
But you've got to use these tools, right? Nuno had those tools.
Yeah, Nuno was a bum, though. He was no good, man. He wasn't there. But let's look at the next manager. Brendan Rodgers has won an FA Cup, has come in and...
That was FA Cup last year. That doesn't mean nothing this year.
I didn't say he won it this year. I just said he has won an FA Cup. But his Leicester team have been pretty inconsistent this season, and that's a polite way of saying it. They're sitting 9th. 11 wins, 7 draws, 11 losses. Where does Brendan Rodgers fall for you, Robbie?
Chopping block.
Really?
Yep, I really think so.
Wow.
Like you look at last year, we were all talking him up, and that was a fair point. They have a massive fall this year, and from a team that have buckled top 4 2 years in a row, which was already a bit of a bottle job, considering they've been in the top 4 the most in the last 2 seasons. They have what are they sitting now on the ladder?
I think they're sitting. I've got it here. They're sitting 9th.
9th. So yeah, bang average, pretty much in the middle. And from a team that's been sitting around the top 4, 5th for the past 2 seasons consistently, they have been nosediving this year. So he was linked with all the big jobs, including United, when he was at his peak. And I was the first one to say I would never want him. So for me, chopping block, I reckon for a club of Leicester's stature, it's not good enough job for him. He should be under more pressure.
I think that's insane because, I mean, what world-class players do Leicester have? Who's their world-class player?
They call Jamie Vardy world-class over there, man, so I don't know.
Not now. He was maybe a few years ago, but they don't have a world-class player. They've only played 29, so they've got a few games in hand. They're definitely not the fourth best team in the league on
Well, you
paper.
can't put him any higher than bang average, that's for sure.
Yeah, see, look, for me, I would be saying bang average. I think chopping block is harsh, but RJ, you're the deciding vote on this. And live chat, there's a few in there saying chopping block. Chopping block is a bottle job of manager. Chopping block from Daniel. Yeah, a few calls for chopping block. What do you reckon, RJ?
Nah, that's ridiculous. For due respect, I can't say chopping block because they're not down in danger zone. They're ninth. They catch up a couple games. They could still finish seventh. Yeah, they've been consistently fighting for top four. But have they improved their squad in terms of investment over the summer? A lot of their neighbours have. Fourth to sixth, they've all invested heavily. They've conceded a lot of sloppy goals. Chopping block. If Leicester was to sack him, and they went out there and upgraded, then I can respect the ambition. But at the end of the day, I don't think that team, a world-class manager walks in there and all of a sudden says, oh, I'm so grateful to inherit this squad. I think he's a bang average job this season. Chopping block, that's a little bit ambitious for me, I've got to say.
Yeah, interesting comment here from David as well. As I scroll through some from the chat, this is where taking the squad into consideration means everything. I think he's been bang average, but this team and this club should be better. So maybe the chopping block. Look, RJ and I are in sync on this. I'm going to go put him in the bang average. I'm going to put him below Sean Dyche, though, because I think with his squad, he should be doing better, but I wouldn't expect them to be in that top four. They're nowhere near that tier. You look, two of those spots are taken up by City and Liverpool. So, let's look at Eddie Howe. He's a manager who came in, obviously, about midway through. Newcastle were looking like clear relegation candidates, and he has, without massive surgery, managed to get this team playing much better football. For me, Eddie Howe is doing a brilliant job when you consider his squad and where they were when he came in. What do you think, RJ?
Yeah, look, I could live with brilliant because of where they were. They were in massive struggle town. But let's be frank as well. They did upgrade a fair bit. Not saying major surgery, but some very good purchases, and that's credit to him. But he's done a very good job. They've been a bit on and off recently, but at least now they're safe. And I know that would sound like it's a solid job, but their trajectory was very bad. The way he's resurrected them, I'd put him in the brilliant job category.
But how can we say that when we just had the same conversation about Leeds? Like literally,
but who's been longer, Rob? It's sample size, man. That's what I'm talking about. If Eddie Howe was there for 5 games, I couldn't justify a brilliant job. And he's fully taken them out. Leeds are still in the hunt for relegation. They're still there, man.
And even then, so go on, Rob.
No, it's a solid for me. I think he's doing a very solid job. I couldn't put him in the brilliant category. Yeah, like I said, he's been big investment. He's got him out of that. He's got him out of that thing. But a lot of those relegation teams, it's kind of been like the top 4. It's like no one really wants to get in or out of it. They're all one wins, one losses. It's very up and down.
But Newcastle's safely out now. So yeah, Newcastle's on 34 points after 31 games. Leeds are 32 games. 30. What is it? It's 32 played, 33 points. If both Everton and Burnley will win both of their catch-up games, Everton would jump them and Burnley would be 2 points behind. All of a sudden, is he still doing a brilliant job? You know what I mean?
It's a solid for me. It's a solid.
It's interesting because he bought 5 players in, right? Shane saying he bought him 5, but only 2 of them are decent. Declared saying, well, he brought him 5 players. Out of those 5 players he brought in, though, how many would make it in the teams above Newcastle on the table? Like, they weren't marquee signings. They genuinely weren't marquee signings. They were solid signings. They weren't glamorous. But he's been a big part of that recruitment too, and I think he should be applauded for the job he's doing with Newcastle. Are we, RJ, both saying brilliant job, and Robbie, you're saying solid?
I thought RJ said solid. I'm going for solid, definitely.
I'm brilliant.
I said brilliant, but I get the solid argument. I just think about how bad Newcastle's situation was and how pretty they're sitting relative to that. That's why I said brilliant.
All right, let's chuck him in brilliant job then. We've got now your man, Thomas Tuchel. And I'm curious
No
to hear
debate
from
from
people.
me, Scott. Just throw elite, just for me, straight away. Use debate.
I want to hear from
It's
the
elite
live
for
chat
me.
too, though. Look at Thomas Tuchel this season. Where do you boys think he should fall? Tell us in the chat as well. But RJ, you're saying straight out elite.
Yep, and I would, and I can justify it with squad. Yes, we've had a lot of key
Champions of
injuries, and
Europe.
I'll name them. I can champions. Yeah, but that's last season. Let's put that to the side. We've won the
Yep.
Super Cup, or we've won the Club World Cup. We're in the FA Cup semi-final. We've had no games deferred because of COVID when others had, so we've played a lot more. We've had key injuries to Ben Chilwell, Reece James, among others. That's part of having a big squad. But given the ownership situation and the sanctions, juggling all of that, manager-wise, I think he's done a brilliant job. And I said doing a brilliant job, but I think he's elite, in my opinion.
Let's take. No. I'm for the chat. I'm interested to see what the rest of the chat besides the Chelsea players say for the non-biased part. For me, he's doing a brilliant job. I can't put him in the caliber of Pep and Klopp. I think he is doing a brilliant job. He hasn't really upped the squad a lot from last year. They're hanging around about the same part on the ladder. They're miles off the top two teams.
Oh, they're actually ahead, Rob. They were struggling for fourth. They're comfortably the third best team, and they've bridged the gap to second place a lot. So there is a league improvement there.
It's still 11 points.
Yeah, but they're not
in the game in hand.
They're miles off City and thing for the way they play football, the way they do everything for me. I think they're a complete powerhouse, those two, compared to the other two. That's why they're in the elite class. For me, he's doing a brilliant job.
They were top of the league before they got to December. So they had a bad December. They had the Club World Cup and they had those injuries. We've got to remember, I don't know, you're saying they're miles behind. They were in front for a large part of the early stage of the season. So
that
I don't
makes
think
it
they're miles
worse
behind.
that they're 11 behind.
If you took out Trent Alexander-Arnold or Cancelo and some of these other key players, would we be that far behind? That's a debate. So, no. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Look, well, for me, you're saying they're not that far behind. They're 11 points behind. Let's not fuss about games in hand too much.
With
it's only one. You may lose it. Now, they're 11 points behind. You're just saying that they were coming first. Now they're 11 points behind. To me, that means they've dropped. To go from first to 11 points behind second
because
place,
of key injuries.
Yeah, mate, but we've all had injuries. Mm-hmm. Every team has.
Yeah, but we just said we can't.
No, but I'm saying that you're saying Tuchel. Hang on. Yeah. All right. What I'm saying is you're saying Klopp and Guardiola. Hang on.
Are elite.
Guardiola and Klopp are top because they haven't had the same key injuries this season. Had they had the same key injuries, would they still be 11 points ahead with the game in hand? I can't say. All I can say is that Tuchel. No, but let me finish the argument. Their third spot, they've improved from last season. They've had those key injuries. They've had a club that's in a sanction, so they don't have the same capability. They've played more games than the others. So how can you not factor all that in and say he's not being elite? I just can't understand that.
Because Jurgen Klopp lost Sadio Mane and Salah to AFCON, amongst others. So
and
we
lost Mendy.
Two. You lost your goalkeeper, but some of your fans want him dropped for Kepa at the moment anyway. Well, you can't use injuries.
That's now, bro.
I actually think Thomas Tuchel is underachieving significantly with this squad. This is a squad that were the champions of Europe, have come in, spent over 190 or 100 mil on a striker that he hasn't been able to get the best out of in his system. I don't think he can go into elite at this point. And I've got a lot of time for Tuchel, but I don't think he could be in there with Pep and Klopp. I actually think he's doing a solid job when you look at his squad.
Yeah. And we're going to have to strongly disagree on that. I don't agree. And obviously that context is because we're not operating in a vacuum. We're not operating in a vacuum.
30
and that
games,
time when we dropped all those points is because we didn't have clubs that had false positive tests, and we've had to play in games 3 in a week, not 1 in a week. And that's when we lost all of our points. So to say that doesn't factor into it, still the third best team in the country, I don't know. You can say solid all you like, but I'll just disagree hard-heartedly.
We're going to have to meet in the middle, I think, because you're saying elite. I'm saying solid. Robbie's saying doing a brilliant job. So I think we'll have to meet in the middle with Rob. But maybe we'll put him at the top of doing a brilliant job. in front of Frank. Interesting, good debate though, boys. Good debate. It's always important.
Yeah,
Let's quickly look at the live chat, what they've said, because I am conscious that we've gone for an hour, but this is a great debate and a good segment, so we might just leave out quick fires tonight if need be. But let's look at this. The form guide has Spurs and Blues swapping places. That's something to think about. Declared injuries and a misfiring Lukaku make the team worse than last year. Over there, Liverpool didn't beat Chelsea. In the first game, Chelsea had 10 men, and they only lost to City with deflected goals. Man City aren't hitting 100 points. Not much to make Pep elite. I think it's a hard push to say Pep's not elite with that team and their football. Question, is Tuchel to blame for Big Rom's dip in form? Look, let's not get too far into it, but it's something to ponder. And, of course, declared saying Chilwell and James were important. Every team's had injuries. I'm not confident.
Yeah, we're doing the manager, not the players. It's like saying again, there's a lot of these arguments. If we're bringing in other injuries or other players, like Leeds again, a lot of injuries, strikers out for most of the season. You know, if that wasn't happening, who knows? Bielsa could have still been in the job if he had all his players.
But we're saying, and for Klopp and Guardiola, if Cancelo wasn't there, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's on double digits assists, the reality is they're not mutually exclusive. You can't say the managers can't get judged because they are using their best players. And when their best players aren't available for a long period of time, of course it's going to affect the results. So I get what you're saying, but you can't just separate them totally for me. They've got to be
interconnected. We've all had it, though. Every team has been decimated at some point. City don't have a striker, for heaven's sake. What? They don't have a striker in this
their squad. You talk about 100 million Lukaku. They bought Grealish for the same price. And they don't play with a recognised striker.
So, look, declared saying we didn't use those standards for any other manager. I think because a lot of the managers were more cut and dry than Tommy Tuchel, to be honest. We've generally been in agreement. He's the only one where we've been in 3 different categories. And on this comment about Arteta, he didn't spend 250 mil this season. But even then, you look at predictions, no one predicted Arsenal with their squad to be fighting for top 4.
We all had Chelsea to win the Premier League in our predictions.
And we also had them not to have 6 key injuries at the same time and COVID and the sanctions at the same time. So you can't say that because the world changes from the start of the season. You just can't do that. It's not static.
Excuses for me, but let's
agree to disagree. I'm just going to disagree wholeheartedly, as I said. So that's my opinion.
All right. Smith at Norwich. Let's get through this one pretty quickly. They're still getting relegated. They're sitting in last place. There's been no real improvement. Are we all going chopping block?
Chopping block for me.
Chopping block for me.
Yeah.
All right. Let's chuck him in there. Let's maybe come back to Pat Vieira at the end. Let's look at Moyes, maybe. David Moyes. West Ham were right up there for the first part of the season. They're now sitting in 6th place. They played 32 games, and they're on level points with United, who have played 1 less. I think with this West Ham team, that Moyes is doing a brilliant job to have them up there in that fight.
Well, I wasn't expecting that.
What were you expecting? What are your thoughts?
I put him in solid. I think he's doing a solid job. I think he was doing just as good a job last year. I think he's got a great team, to be honest. He's got some really good midfielders there. His fullbacks have been really good this year. And look, this team they're doing great in the Europa League, which is good. But for me, he's doing a solid job. I don't think he's doing brilliant.
Okay. RJ, where are you on this one, mate? He's no Tommy T, but where do you think he falls?
No, that's right. He's just a manager that's just got to deal with the on-field stuff, like we all wish we had. But honestly speaking, league form, I'd say more solid, but the fact that they've also got Europa, they're right up there to win it. That would be very impressive if he can go all the way and still navigate a top 6 finish. And because he's competing on both fronts, I tend to lean more towards the brilliant category, but league-wise, I do. I agree, though, Rob. They should be in that top 4 race, and they're still in and around. They've dropped it, but I think that's because they're sort of going more for the Europa now. But I'm torn between this one, to be honest. But I'd lean more towards the brilliant.
You've won me over, but again, definitely if there was a spot in between that solid and brilliant, that's where I'd definitely put him. But I'm happy to put him there. I won't disagree that I'm not having him there.
Let's go to your man, Robbie, Ralph. Where are you with Wreck-It Ralph at this
Well,
point?
this is easy, boys. Bang average for me.
Bang average, RJ?
Yeah, look, again, boys, again, we have to say we're trying to just go around him, not the players, because a big chunk of the United thing, the form has been he's come in and we all know what his philosophy is. And I reckon he's just given up on his philosophy because I don't think our team is on board with it, or they just can't deliver of what he wants. So we can't say he's a bad manager for not because the team's not doing what he's instructing them to do. And like I said, he's been in there since Oli got sacked. He started quite good. He had a good. He was undefeated for quite a while. He had a couple of good results, quite a few draws, but then we've drastically dropped off in the last couple of months. So for me, it's bang average, mate.
Yeah, I think bang average seems to be the flavour with him. Let's chuck him in bang average. Let's go Hassan Hoodle. Southampton.
Look, I'll just say on that with Ralph, just quickly, I would say bang average. But look, to be honest with you, if he didn't have some security there because they're in a flux state, he could be flirting with that chopping block. They're on the verge of 8th spot here. That's not a team. We all talk about, Chelsea gone for the title. United's definitely the top 4 and better.
I just remember this guy's pretty much his contract is pretty much a chopping block. He's an interim, so he's pretty much.
Yeah, but that's not. We're judging him on that. He's had no positive effect on this squad. They've actually regressed beyond worse than what they were under Oli, in my opinion. But that's why I think he deserves to be called out for it. He talked about the other day, they're not doing the physical things right. I can understand some of the technical limitations with some of that team, but for them to not be able to get themselves right physically and press hard, to me, that's something where a manager, it's the players that have got to do it. But if the manager can't inspire them, to be honest, he's got to be accountable for that. I can understand it takes time to implement a philosophy, but if you can't get the basics
if you're going to talk about players,
hard,
we've got no strikers. Cavani's been out for 97% of the thing.
We can't use injuries though. We just hammered RJ for
that. What I'm saying is the manager can only do so much, all right, from the sideline. I get that. But if he's complaining about the basics that they're not doing right, the manager, I think we can all agree, is the one that takes the heat for the one influencing the players. So if they're not responding to him or respecting him, is he an effective manager? And because they're not responding to him, that's why I think he's doing a bang average / chopping block job. That's all I'm saying.
Would you put him in the
I agree. Block? The board's done a crap job on that team.
You've talked to me though, RJ. Hearing you speak, you've actually changed my view. I'm actually leaning more towards chopping block now. I don't know.
It's too late in the season. They won't do it. That's why I didn't even.
No, but where would you put him tier wise? Would you put him in chopping block then, RJ? Based on
he started off well, but the latest way they've been playing, they've been really poor, and that's not anything for Rob. I'm just talking about Manchester United. This is a shadow of the team we know.
But again, we can't use one argument for one. Like RJ was talking about the COVID, you're talking about the players, you're talking about this.
But we shut RJ down on that. We both told him he couldn't do it.
Okay, but I'm just saying. So he's come in with what he wanted to do, and the players aren't delivering for him. So how does that make him a chopping block manager?
No, because he came in, right, like you said, it's interim, so he was never going to be there.
Fine. He had good results at the start.
Yeah, I know, but look at him now. They're 7th spot. Wolves have played, if they lose their catch-up game, which, you can't trust them at the moment, and they end up going on to finish 7th, 8th, I can understand 5th, 6th. That's getting a bit nervy.
What if he got top 4? What if he turns around and gets top 4 still?
At the moment, the trajectory would suggest that they're going the other way around.
At the moment, At the moment,
it's hard. So that's why I said bang average / chopping block, because he hasn't been absolutely woeful, but they just seem to be getting worse under him.
Let's put him. We've got him at the bottom of bang average at the moment, so I think let's just leave him there. Because I'm kind of sort of unofficially placing them across the line too. Let's put him at the bottom of bang average. But tell you what, if they don't qualify, if they're not in the top 6, chopping block. Let's look at. Oh, sorry. Were we on Hassan Hoodle? Where are we going with Southampton? They're sitting 14th, 8 wins all season.
Solid for me, brother. Solid for
12 draws, 11 losses. Solid for you? What about you,
Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah, I'll go with RJ solid.
I'm going to go a solid 2 then. I'm not going to fight on that one. I'm okay with him being there. I always forget how to say his name, but Wolves coach.
Large.
That's the
Brendan
one.
Large.
Yep. Look, Wolves to me are sitting in 8th, 15 wins. They were fighting higher up the table. I think he's done a brilliant job with that Wolves team. Again, you look at Wolves, do they have any world-class players? No. I think he's doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, I agree. For him to come from the Portuguese league, started quite slow at the start of the season. They were nearly in relegation form, to be honest, at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And to really get that team motoring along and move them up the table. They've had their fair share. I know we're not including it, but injuries along the season and no world-class players either. I definitely think he's doing a
Stop
brilliant
using
job.
injuries as an excuse.
Yes, I know. Look, he's doing a brilliant job.
You're right.
David is saying bang average. I'm
Bang
not
average.
That's
Oh,
harsh,
that's a stitch-up comment. Come
Yeah,
on. Please,
geez.
they were 13th last season.
Yeah,
RJ, where are you with this?
Yeah, look, I'd be on the lower tier of doing a brilliant job, solid, because they've dropped off the ball a little bit. But overall, come in, quietly gone about his business. I think they've been a very tough team to play against. I'd go lower tier of brilliant job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're all, or do we want to do top tier of solid?
Yeah, I'm happy with. I could go top tier.
He's doing a better job than Potter, I've got to say.
Yeah, it's hard. Look, I said brilliant. I'm happy to stick with the lesser of the brilliant, the bottom of the brilliant.
Okay.
David said bloke lost to Marsh. Yeah, he lost one game. Tuchel lost one game to Thomas Frank. Does it mean he's bang average? Like, you can't use one game to justify a tier rating.
Well, that's where I would have put Thomas Tuchel, bang average.
Chopping block.
David has had enough. He's
gone, mate. He's flicked past us out. That's good.
And this is why we love these topics, and we're going to try and do more of this stuff as we go on. We don't care if it goes longer, if there's good debate and it's passionate. That's what we want on this channel. But you're all welcome to share your views, put your arguments in. We'll always consider it. We've got 2 more. Big Frank, for me, has made no proper improvement to Everton. They got 1 good result against United. They've still looked like dross. No new manager bounce. For me, chopping block. We know where RJ is going to go, so I'm going to go to you, Rob.
I'm tossed up. Like, again, if I was to categorize this one, it would be in between bang average and chopping block. I don't know. I think I'm going to go bang average, to be honest, because I think there is a good manager in him there. But again, we have to go off results, and as we've said, the team reflects the manager, and they've been really, really bad, more than good. So I think that the road ahead is also looking very bad for them, and I still think there's a high possibility of them getting dropped. So I think I will go on chopping block.
Chopping block. All right. What about you, RJ? Tell us how he's elite.
Well, he's obviously elite. He's best goal scorer of all time. I know that's totally unrelated, but look, he's at the very, very tail end of bang average for me, because at the end of the day, the club was a sinking ship. They got rid of a super experienced manager in Benitez, and look, it's a poison chalice. They've got a couple of big wins against Newcastle and against, obviously, United. Threw away a 6-pointer against Burnley. Should have got a 1-1 draw against Manchester City. We won't forget the Rodri handball that wasn't given. But yeah, results do the talking, and he's in trouble. But at the end of the day, he's above the drop zone, and that's the criteria for success for Everton this season. So I think, look, chopping block, you could easily fit him there, but I still think that he's in a shout. So I'd put him at the back end of bang average, but I'm going to be overruled here.
No, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that, Arj.
For me, it's chopping block, but majority rules.
Why is it chopping block?
Because
you look at Sean Dyche, for example.
Because Sean Dyche's squad is absolutely dross.
Yeah, you have to. That's right.
And they lost Chris Wood.
We have to remember they bring in Dele Alli, they bring in Van der Beek. Was there a couple other players they're bringing too? So they were decent.
They also
signings on
had
paper.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin out, their main guy, for a long period
Injuries
of time
again.
as
We're talking
well.
about injuries again. We can't talk.
But
about
you're talking
that
about players brought in. That's a player subtracted who's actually been part of the team.
But
and didn't
he
have to
came.
be
He
integrated.
came in and he appointed those players. That was part of his contract coming in to bring those players in with him. So that's his decision. That's a manager's decision to influx a team to get better results. So for me, you have to account for
But
that.
Sean Dyche has been there for many years, working with that team and had full chemistry, and he's in a worse position than Everton, a guy who came in mid-season in a crisis.
And
I know, but you're talking about players playing for a manager and somebody coming in that hasn't known them before. So doesn't that get factored in? At the moment, he's above Burnley.
RJ is saying bang average. I'm saying chopping block. Robbie, final vote's yours. I just want to put out, if he goes in bang average, it's at the bottom of bang average, I think. If he goes in chopping block, it would be at the top. So is there a difference? Probably not. Where do you want to put him, Robbie?
Bottom of bang average.
Bottom of bang average it is. Davide, don't get upset with me. Blame them too, all right? I wanted him in chopping block. Let's look at this last man, Patrick Vieira. His Crystal Palace team are sitting in 10th. They've only won 8 games this season, 13 draws, 10 losses, and they're on 37 points. They've had some big results against Arsenal and City, to name a few, and they are in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Definitely not elite for me, but I think when you look at his squad, he is doing a brilliant job. Feel free.
You go first on this one. I don't want to see what you say.
Yeah, I think so. He has. He's done a brilliant job this season. He's, like I said, the FA Cup semis, big achievement. Where they are going at the moment, they've just overperformed, and he deserves an applause. So I don't know whereabouts he ranks, but he's definitely better than solid and not elite. Got to put him in the brilliant, I think.
And I know, I don't think this one should be controversial because, I mean, you can't make calls for him to be an elite when they're not in double-digit wins. Yeah, they've played 31 matches. They've only won 8. So I don't think it's controversial to say he's not in elite. I know there might be a little bit of disagreement in the chat. David, I'm happy to hear why he should be an elite, but he's only got 8 wins. Yeah, he's only got 8 wins. And I know his squad is not great, but he's not even in double-digit wins. And you can't
not a terrible squad either. There are some good individual players there as well, as well as a lot of top talented youngsters that they've brought over. So let's not get it twisted like there's this just rubbish team. It's not a rubbish team, but he's done a good job to get the best out of them. And that's what a manager we're ranking on. So,
and you got to think they would, they've been relegation candidates in the past. The squad, not the best, but I think we're all in agreement that he's doing a brilliant job. Am I correct?
Robbie?
I'm kind of on the top of solid, lower of brilliant, to be honest with me.
But you've got David, you've got Moyes, you've got Wolves manager in there, you've got Eddie Howe, all these guys, Thomas Frank in doing a brilliant job. He's above Thomas Frank.
But Thomas Frank come up from the championship with a way lower budget and a nothing squad. He's got some good players, good Premier League players. He's got loanees from Chelsea that have come in. He's got Will Saha. He's got goal scorers. They're bringing the guy from Celtic.
Saha was inconsistent. Edward, the guy from
goals. Like I said, 8 wins. 8 wins.
I don't think he can be in solid. He can't be in solid with.
Is 8 wins brilliant? Is it?
But it's 10th,
with that squad,
10th place.
That's a decent squad, man. It's a decent squad. And like I said, for me, we're talking about the manager, and you're talking about, again, we can't bring in the players.
Of course, I think bring in the players. I've no point said don't consider the players because you've got to look at what the manager is doing with the squad he's got available. Yeah,
that's a decent squad. We put Conor Gallagher in as one of the players.
Who was Conor Gallagher at the start of the season? He wasn't good enough for. He wasn't good enough for Chelsea.
Yeah, well, Chelsea is like one of those elite teams, isn't it?
Mate, but they weren't all fighting for Conor Gallagher on loan, were they? I mean, he's brought him in, and Conor Gallagher's shone under Patrick Vieira.
Is that his coaching?
He was awesome at West Brom as well.
Just saying hello. We've got Taryn in here. Evening, Taryn, joining us at the back end.
Taryn.
Let us know what you think of these rankings. It's been an interesting debate. Look, for me, Patrick Vieira is doing a brilliant job. He's doing a brilliant job. If Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe and Moyes, and if they're all going to be doing a brilliant job, a guy whose team is higher than all of them, bar Wolves and West Ham on the table, should be in brilliant job too. Where are you on this, RJ? You're the deciding vote.
Yeah, I'd put him in the lower end of brilliant job because I can understand both sides here, but I think just because of the expectation, they got hammered first game of the season. I know it's only one game, so we don't want to use that logic, but yeah, Vieira at the start was touted as being one of the first managers sacked. And look how far he's come. FA Cup semi-final, 10th place. 8 wins is not good, but given the fact that he's in the top half of the Premier League, it's you got to say, in my opinion, it's brilliant. He's overachieved so far.
I think, look, we've been going an hour and 20 minutes, boys. It's been great fun. I know that I was kind of unofficially ranking them horizontally, but I think now we look at this without a horizontal ranking. It's probably too tricky to do that unless we want to spend another 20 minutes. So let's look at them in the tiers. It might be good to post this picture out on the socials and you can share your thoughts. I know there's been some heated disagreement in the chat, but also plenty of agreement in there. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're watching it back, feel free to leave a comment. Tell us what mistakes we've made or what you'd have done differently. Boys, do we want to do one quick fire each to end the evening?
Yeah, I'm happy to do a quick fire each quickly. What's another minute or two?
All right. Let's go with yours then, Rob.
Hold on, wait. I've got to pick one quickly. Go. You guys start because I've got 3 I have to pick one.
RJ, you got one, mate?
Yeah, it's the Harry Potter 20th year celebration. I agree, Taryn, by the way. Good man. He's doing some great things as well. Go check Taryn out. Can't wait to have him on for a chat soon as well. 20th anniversary Harry Potter. We all seen it. We all know it. So on that theme, just would like to know my question. If you could change anything about the series, what would it be? Anything, big or small, anything you'd like, didn't like and would change.
Good question. I reckon they probably, for dramatic effect, in that final battle, I think it's ludicrous that Harry, Ron, and Hermione all made it out alive, mate. Needed to kill one of them off.
Wow, you're brutal, mate. You are brutal. Daniel's that's an interesting take on it, mate.
I like the movies.
Oh, I was a fan of the movies. It's hard. Look, I was a big fan of the books. I think the books are obviously better than the movies. If I was to change anything, look, I didn't like the whole 19 years later in the movies, the way they done that. I thought that was pretty cringe. But yeah, that's about it for me. I was a fan of the movies and the books.
It's so nice to see Davide happy again. Davide, we like when you're happy, mate.
He's resubscribed, definitely.
That's it. If you've got a quick fire question, chuck it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boys, just quickly on that, since we're on the Harry Potter thing, did you have a favourite out of the 7?
Goblet of Fire for me was a banger.
That was a banger, yep.
I love the Chamber of Secrets, to be honest.
Good call. I was going to say that one will definitely Hollows. That'll probably be my favourite too as well.
And the one thing I would change is about the Professor Snape sort of situation. We end up finding out at the end, of course, he's not this bad bloke. Why couldn't he just be a little bit nicer to Harry the whole time?
Yeah, exactly.
Fair call, fair call. All right. Look, I'm not going to lie, boys. I haven't got one. I'm terrible.
Bloody useless you are, mate. Useless.
Go on, Rob.
All right, boys. We've all seen the Avengers movies and with the Infinity Gauntlet stuff. If you were to pick one of the Infinity Stones, which would it be and why?
I'd go the Time Stone for me. Yeah.
Time, because you can undo it. I make many mistakes in a day.
You could be a Chelsea fan, Scott. Go back in time, pick a good club to follow.
Yeah, look, you could go back in time, fix your mistakes, and I make plenty of them in a day. So, what about you, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know. I think time is the obvious one, but I think the space one would be pretty cool. The space one.
What are all the stones? Just for curiosity, I couldn't remember the Soul Stone or Time
Mind,
Stone.
Soul, Reality, Power, Space,
Time.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, the 6 of them. Yeah.
All right. Okay, boys. Oh, this is a good one to end. If I had to rank us, who's elite, brilliant job? So Mate, RJ for his Thomas Tuchel take is on the chopping block,
mate. He's gone. He's
chopping
a
block. Robbie, when he's in this shirt, is brilliant job. When he's in a singlet, he's elite. And I've got to give myself elite. I quite simply have to do it. I don't know if you boys agree. You agree? Good, we can
That's
move on.
That's not a football thing, mate. That is not a football thing.
Oh, dear. All right, boys. It's been a marathon. An hour and 25 minutes. We have ranked. We have debated. Maybe a little bit of fighting. That's always fun. But please let us know if you're watching this back what you think about the rankings. Are we right? Are we wrong? Is it a bad footballing take, perhaps? What we do know is that we will be back on Tuesday night and we will have some big matches to look forward to. Some big games. I think Arsenal and who are Arsenal playing? Chelsea have a big game. We've got Liverpool, Man United. We've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton, Leicester. There's some bangers coming up. So make sure you are here on Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. RJ, any final thoughts before we close the stream?
Thomas Tuchel's elite, mate. That's it. That is the last words I've got. In all seriousness, it's been an awesome episode. We've got to keep doing more of this. And the live chat, you know what? You opened up my eyes a lot. So just keep doing what you're doing and we'll catch you on Tuesday up the Mighty Chills.
Robbie?
Yeah, great. I really enjoyed that one. Always like a bit of banter, bit of discussion, bit of ruffling the feathers. So it was really good when the live chat was great as well. So we'll keep everyone in here is elite, and we'll go with that.
Nice.
That's it. Take care. Enjoy your football. Make sure you have a happy Easter with your families as well.
100%.
Enjoy that family time and stay safe. See you later, everyone.